Hey guys, good morning. So I'm going to be doing my Friday final analysis on my watch fares, and then I'm going to be kind of refreshing the charts and then doing my preparation for next week. So we are currently at 8:06 in the morning. So yeah, we're going to just get into the Friday market breakdown. So starting with the DXY, this is somewhat predictable to have some sort of pullback here. So essentially what I'm looking at is, we get some sort of something that runs into maybe high spread hours and then goes. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It kind of looks very corrective at this point. We could just drop off and get something a little bit larger. Wouldn't be too surprised if we got something like that. Um, Even so, don't really need to come in that big. Come in a little bit lower, come in something like this, and then we can go. So we are just pretty much retesting sort of this sort of area here. So yeah, I think in terms of continuation, the DXY definitely has a lot of weight. I really do like how we have this sort of middle section towards this larger structure. So I guess at this point here, we can just say, um, you know, this is our angle and potential target zones up here. So this is DXY is going to be really nice. I think it's just one that we're going to have to be a little bit patient with. But when it does play out, it's going to play out really well. So for now, the DXY is actually looking really, really good. Just have to keep an eye on it because I think for the upcoming week, we have a lot of US dollar pairs that have been volatile this week. So we need to just pretty much monitor those when I'm going through the Friday market breakdown. And yeah, going to JP225. JP225 is looking pretty good as well. We can pretty much say that, we had this as the override. If you want to just say that's the inflection point. But more so, we had this, and then we broke this level. So I just marked it on over there. Then we had somewhat of a mini double top, but near miss, essentially. So a mini double top within the mini double top. And then essentially we could say it was something like that, or getting a little bit more in it, but more so I would be looking at that. And we broke this impulsively, so if this sells off here to here, what we could, or even at least 90%, we could probably see a lot of the yen pair selling off as well. So that's something that I am bearing in mind. It wouldn't be unknown for that to happen. It would pretty much complete this two-touch larger flag anyway, and then probably carry on selling, hopefully. So that's basically what I'm banking on for this. I think for a few GBP yen, New Zealand yen, I don't know about USD yen, but a few of these yen pairs will look really nice. Next one I'll be looking at is Euro AUD. Euro AUD is looking really nice. So we kind of got that commitment to the short, which was somewhat expected, but more so I was looking for the long, so I didn't get involved. Just this morning we just started selling off quite rapidly, literally. So I think right now I'll be hella patient and more so wait for us to come back, probably retest this and then see what happens. At the moment, it's still in this corrective middle section. So as we kind of go on and progress, we are still correcting in here. This could just be more accumulation for the upside, but at the moment, it's very corrective. We're in this corrective squeeze. I don't want to be getting involved in any positions here, even if there's a flag in here. At this point, it's not really the position I'm looking for. So Euro Aussie definitely will be one to be looking at for next week, but I don't know if it's a trade that I'll be taking anytime today. Yeah, no trade today. Euro GBP is looking quite good as well. What I do like about Euro GBP is that we've had this strong impulse. Now, could we have understood that this was a push up for continuation? Not really. If we go to lower time frames, there was somewhat of an entry in here. I mean, that wasn't a bad entry at all, to be honest. Very, very good. Just I guess you would have had to really be eyeing up EG, and I think I had my focus on other things. So let's just say that we took EG like this, and we set a risk reward. Just call it probably around, yeah, let's just say around about well, you wouldn't have known that was the break anyway. So yeah, that's about 35 pips. So it's pretty large for a stop, and you'd be running about 1%. But I guess if you were looking at it, I mean, I guess it comes into a little bit more for refinement. But yeah, I mean, call it. Yeah, I mean, I guess I could look at something like this and then take it somewhat here, but I don't think this is, even so, I think risk reward wasn't really the best. So yeah, I wouldn't have really taken a position there, and I didn't anyway. So yeah, it wasn't the sort of angle I'm looking for. It wasn't the sort of position, but definitely played out. Looks pretty good. So that's that, and it looks like we're creating more continuation now to the upside. So if I look at that, looks like this could just be continuation coming up. So this correction is going to form continuation. Next one is Euro USD. Euro USD is really committed, and now we've basically made it to the trend line, and we're essentially creating a hover. I do believe that there's a strong possibility that we could create a larger flag, but I'm not too sure if it will be like that, and we'll just sit on the price for a little bit before we sell off. Looking at the DXY, it definitely looks like a possibility as well, and I think knowing the nature of this particular pair, I think a double bottom wouldn't be unknown. So yeah, I think I'll be looking for price at least to come down to that low now. So this will be definitely one to be watched for next week as well, because it's seriously committed. I think the entry might be a little bit tricky, so I might stay out of the risk entry. But I think more so, if we get a structured approach, possibly I might entertain it. But I think more so wait for the push up and then look at the quality of the flags in this particular pair. Honestly, like entries everywhere, entries. I mean, this run low was phenomenal, especially this run up here, and super grateful about learning about the golden run and whatnot. But honestly, this is sick. Like, fuck, when you can actually read this and understand this, it's something else. So that's really cool. And yeah, so I guess it just comes down to being patient now and trying to take advantage of what's to come. The next one I'll be looking at is GBP Aussie. GBP Aussie as well is one that committed really well. So definitely could have banked some really decent profit on this one. It's running around about 14%, and that one's running around about 12%. Obviously, I am being taken out of both of these, but let me just lock those and hide those for now. Two phenomenal positions. So is missed positions, unfortunately, but we had the override. We broke with mass psychology, created the 1, 2, 3. We sold off, created the hover, sold off again, and those were the two entries I would have looked at. There was some other entries within here, but those were the entries I was looking at, and unfortunately, I missed both of them. Missed the first one because I was looking for a 1, 2, 3 to the high, fine, and then the hover I had no excuse, to be honest. Just didn't. I was looking for perfection twice, even though I knew the first time, but it happens. Great pair, committed really well, and yeah, I guess looking for some sort of pullback, larger flag, continuation, or reversal at this point. I think a reversal is more so something I'm looking for, but looking at how the GBP pairs are going, we might see some time to it. It might become an expanding, could be a few things on the table, but that's more so what I'm looking for at the moment. Can we pull back into this area? So that would be more so a Friday play. We have reached it quite impulsively, so more so if I'm going to be taking a position on this, I would like to see it just maybe even drop off a little bit more, come back up, create a flag, and there we go. And that would be the gameplay for GA. So yeah, got to be a bit patient with that one. Next one's New Zealand Swiss. This one sucks because I was counting on the strong impulse down, but when we impulsed to this inflection point, I wasn't convinced. So the thesis of this wasn't there. If we corrected and create something a little bit more flatter, I might have entertained it. And then I thought possibly we could be creating a hover outside of the correction, but I know these corrections can tend to get a bit bigger and bigger and bigger. So I was happy to stay out of that. However, I wanted to see a correction breaking below this. So any sort of correction below that would have been more so something I would want to entertain. At the moment, we are just pushing and trickling further and further and further, and I believe this particular pair can just keep going. So at this point in time, I think what we really need to be thinking about is this something larger, or are we just correcting to this larger trend? Um, there's a few different variations of what could potentially happen right now, but I think more so waiting for that push down on the flag is definitely what I'll do. I don't think I'll be taking any shorts with all of these minor inflection points. If we came up to one of these major inflection points, then yes. Or if we came to a high value area, then I'll be more interested to be getting involved. But at this point in time, I don't think there's any interest for me at all. So that one I definitely have to be patient with. But I feel like this particular pair might be a bit underrated at the moment. I think we might have a strong spike and then push in, and then it just goes. But I think there'll be an abundance of opportunity with this pair. Impulse correction, continuation, and so forth. So it's one that I'm more than happy to just kind of just let's say take a lesson from and just realize that this corrective price can go on for much longer than expected. So don't expect. USD CAD. USD CAD is quite nice actually because basically we've been creating this sideways momentum in terms of a correction for continuation. So what I do like is we came in with an impulse. Now we've been correcting for a number of weeks. We basically did create two bottoms. However, I believe that we could create a third before we go. But at this point, we do have that expanding field to this as well, which is a little bit annoying with that high, but it's better that I'm looking for the longs anyway at this point. So what I am looking for more so is making sure that I'm not getting any sort of structure evolving against me, and something that's more so playing in my forecast. But yeah, I think more so I'm just keeping it very simple here, and let's just call it this is a middle section, and we've just corrected out of this middle section essentially. So yeah, we're making our way up, just not in the cleanest way. I think what I'm going to be more so looking for now is that we are creating some structure. Hopefully we push up, or we create something large. If we create something like this would be something I'd want to entertain really. So how I'd take that is, this rebounds, comes back up here, corrects again on the third leg, and then boom, I take that. That's what I think I'll be interested in. Not something which is impulsively coming down, because this has all the room to come down here. And I think if this comes here, then the bounce back flag, large flag, and so forth. That could be the plays that I may look for, and then obviously a few small flags on the way. But right now, this particular pair isn't the easiest to trade. I think these high value areas is definitely where my interest is. So I think I'll be extra patient with that. Unfortunately, there wasn't really any clean confirmed trades on this. The nature of this is, kind of looks like it's giving you entry and then sells off and then pushes away. So that's why I'm kind of interested to see if we get something like that. Then we get a pullback, then we go up here, and then and it just goes maybe, and then pulls back, comes back down. I think there's a few variations of what could probably happen, but I think right now, looking at the way this is moving, I think this is our messy sort of corrective middle section right now, and then we'll get our final impulse down before we get the push up, if we do get that push up anytime soon. So yeah, so it would just, I don't know, it'll be very messy, but we'll get there and then hopefully just sell off and then go. That's basically what I'm looking for. Not the highest of probabilities. I think there's not enough data at this point, so I guess sometimes you just got to leave them and let them just kind of, um, show themselves. Going to move on to the wild cards now. So Aussie Swiss. Aussie Swiss has been pretty decent. It was looking pretty nice when we did kind of have this middle section, but I think we just extended a little bit further. I was thinking at one point when well, nothing was ever confirmed really, but now it's looking like this is probably what we are looking at, and I think this could be even part of something much larger. So if I take this as a channel and I put this in here, it just looks like it's moving up this way for the sell. So this would make sense in my opinion. We could continue because we're below here. We are pushing up. In a way of seeing it in the weekly, it's impulsive-ish, but not really, because on the daily we're very corrective. We're not really having much progressive movement in each day. We've got this squeeze here, and now we've had the impulse and push out. So I think with that impulse and push out, what I do like about it is, I'll just take this forecast off. What I do like about it is, we've basically broken out now, pushed out impulsively, and we're just going. We're going to our new target zone. This was the sort of messier correction, let's say. Maybe if I, yeah. So you can see that this is the messier correction over here, and now we're back in the impulsive state. So be looking for sort of price movement in A to B, yeah, roughly around about there. Or if we can break above, maybe we might even go further. Yeah, I think, I think definitely I will keep my eye on this inflection point. Not too concerned about this, oh, about this one so much. I think more so about this one, because we could potentially use that as the override before we sell. But I think, I would more so be interested to see, can we come to this point up here, push down, create a flag, and then sell. So that's the sort of trade I'll be looking for if I am going to be putting Aussie Swiss on for next week. Aussie Swiss is definitely a wicked pair, so possibly for next week. Yep. EuroCAD. Okay, EuroCAD is pretty much where we want Aussie Swiss to be, but this one committed a little bit better than some of the other pairs. So we had this messier correction, and then we went from impulse in, correction, impulse out. So this was definitely a good trade, just not the cleanest. So how I was looking at it was on this point here, and I believe that was the line in the sand. So it was like, okay, if we go there, we push down, and I think there was probably an entry here, to be honest. I just think the pips were too large for me to want to take that, so I just left it. Yeah, it was so it's roughly around about 50. I think I could have squeezed it for about 45, but then it wasn't really the sort of trade I wanted to get involved in at that point. So it was like how we were so quick to get it. Yes, there's a possibility that this can, come all the way down here to 13%, but it wasn't the trade I wanted to be in, to be honest. There was a trade after though, which I think I could have possibly gone, but I think I was sleeping when I went back and looked at it. No, I wasn't. So yeah, I was. So there was this trade. I think this was around about high spreads and then early morning. So I just didn't want to jump in a trade and then fall asleep. And yeah, it was just for that sake. I was just kind of like, not a trade I want to be in, so I left it. But that one was definitely better in terms of risk reward. I would have taken it somewhat like, oh, probably not like that, more so like this. And yeah, that would be around about, let's call it 27. And then to the low, I think it was like 22, 20, yeah, it was around about 18. So yeah, I think that would have been a much better trade in my opinion, because that would have broke the low as well, which I saw this as this is the low, and then this is the the anomaly low. But more so the first one I drew was the actual low I was looking at. So we kind of broke that and created a small flag, and I thought that was the higher probability one. Even so, though, yeah, for EuroCAD, there'll be abundance of opportunity on this anyway. If we commit and we really start to sell on this, we're going to create some nice, larger structured flags on the 4 hour, and they're going to be much higher probability, and they're going to be some really good risk reward. Easily going to bank something like 10, 15, 20% on this. So Just need to wait for that to form. Could be weeks, days away, but when it does, it's there. Euro Swiss. Euro Swiss is actually really nice. I do like the fact that it's giving me that feel that it's going to come back up. Um, Probably knowing Euro Swiss, we might just have a quick sell off before we go, but um, I think with this override, we did break the mass psychology. We didn't complete this, which is a little bit annoying because I was looking for something similar to GA. GA? Yeah, GA. Fortunately, I didn't get it, so that became uh, invalid. The near miss to this near miss didn't even reach, so then it just started selling off, and I missed that. So I didn't get my forecast after this. It was one that I kind of just stopped watching. I was just like, it's completely not what I'm forecasting, so I'm not going to just entertain this pair at the moment. But this is very corrective at the moment, which is some level of interest because I still might get those forecasts just later. And then I think this might just come down here and then come back up. And then when it does come up, and then this sells and goes down here and comes up here, that's where I could potentially look for a sell. And then that could be the sell to the low. Or this could be a large flag to the high. So that's just an inflection point. Doesn't really mean anything. This is more so an inflection point to be concerned about now. But yeah, I mean, I think personally this pair is done for me. There isn't really much. I think the better thing to do is probably just wait for some sort of structure to form now, and then give it probably till some point at end of November. This kind of just, does that, comes in over here, does that, and then, we meet with something, and then we sell off. I think that's something that I'll be more so interested in. I think that would be a trade that I would probably be more inclined to want to entertain than anything right now because it's just so messy. I think clear as day, this is a nicer trade. Yeah, I like this trade. I mean, this is something I've just completely drawn up, but as a forecast for a potential trade, I think, I mean, even so, it's like kind of in the middle of nowhere. But for a short, I don't know if I should really be looking for shorts, but yeah, I think this is just probably more so if you look at it, bull flags are definitely on the table. I mean, that's a bull flag, push bull flag. I think this could be the bull flag that we need to go higher. So maybe I might be missing a bigger picture. It might be something I need to analyze a lot more and back test on. So I think Euro Swiss might be the next back testing pair I do. But yeah, that definitely looks like a bull flag to go higher. So going off the bat of something like that as well, we impulse correction. Yeah, somewhat the same. If we impulse again. Yeah, interesting. Anyway, I don't like the bull flags that's sitting on this double top sort of inflection point, but gonna have to wait it through. Okay, next one. Sorry about that. USD Swiss. USD Swiss is good. We've come to that override. We have the higher value area. Another override above this one, which I didn't mark on, but I will now. I think it was very close to pips. That's one of the reasons why I think it was. Okay, so we're about 100 pips. So if we go there, I think we could probably just gravitate further. I don't think I'll bank it for that near miss trade. I think I'll be looking more so for perfection. No, really, I think this has momentum right now. I think with the way price has moved and the way it's correcting at that high, we're not selling back. That's it. I mean, this trade is sick as well. So it's 15-minute trade. Got it on the retrace. I didn't take it on live capital, obviously. I just kind of just saw it in the live market. If I go 5 minute, I think it's a little bit more cleaner. So what happened was price pushed down, we broke, pushed back in, closed, and then I took the trade. And then I covered myself here. and the trade was pushing. It was running around about 7.23. Here it would be running around about 589. And I think over here I'd be locked in around about 3.5 to be honest, to be extra safe. Just because this would be a longer term trade, in my opinion. I think if this was to go, where is it? It's over here. You know, we were to go here, that's about 14%. So even though we're kind of like sitting on the sort of quarter of the way, call it, yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to be a bit lenient, 4% and so forth in terms of management. So that's basically where I'm with this. But yeah, so the context was, this sort of corrective squeeze to the high, pushed down correctively in terms of structure, didn't commit, pushed out, corrected correction, but within this, so it didn't take it, push out, corrected up, pushed down impulsively, came back for that second point. Fortunately, um, it was in the time of, I guess you had to be around the charts, and I saw it, and I saw this correcting, so I guess I was monitoring it, and then when it started dropping around about here, I was like, oh, okay, this could potentially come here, but because it was all in one candle, I was thinking, this is probably a high probability that it can play out, and I guess it's fortunate that it did. And then we sold off, and this, I think this was based around some news as well that caused it, if I'm not wrong. I can't really recall. Yeah, so it was, yeah. So what happened is we sold off here due to some Fed interest rate decision. And then when it was sitting there, I was like, oh, okay, there's some more news coming out at Fed press conference or some, I didn't watch it, don't even know. And then basically, as soon as that was done, I was like, okay, sick. So I watched it, and then I saw the push up, and I was like, okay, cool. So we've now actually tested that low. We've rejected from the low, looking at a technical standpoint, not an economical standpoint. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'll entertain this trade. If I get tagged out, I get tagged out. But obviously, it's not live capital, so maybe live capital conditions, I would have probably been a little bit protecting it a little bit more, or perhaps maybe waited for a little bit more confirmation or something. But even so, that was great. And then there was more trades in here, more trade in there. And then probably right now, we're seeing this sort of, I don't know, got to be a bit more patient with that now because it's larger flag territory, but we're sitting on that high, so it's a little bit more of a debatable trade. So yeah, so trade was good, and that was USD Swiss. Yep, USD Swiss. USD yen. I'll be honest with you, I don't really have much to say about USD yen. I couldn't really analyze this well. It was just so messy. I was just like, looking at the other yen pairs, I was like, I really picked the best one, didn't I? But yeah, no, honestly, USD yen, it just looks like it's creating this 1, 2, 3. I'll evaluate when we get to this zone. At the moment, not seeing anything of great interest, so going to leave USD yen alone. But USD yen definitely has potential to come low if it does, but like I said, it's not really something that I think. I think when it goes, it's going to go power. I think it's building up so much momentum. Like I think there's so much momentum built up in here. It's just I don't think it's ready. I think there's a lot of money circulating around other pairs. So USD yen's one I'm just going to leave alone. USD CAD. Sorry, oil, crude oil. Man, I've been waiting for this one, honestly. So crude oil, I'm literally been waiting for it to come up here. I guess there was a few forecasts of it kind of just selling off here, and it did sell off there. But I'm more so interested to see it come to that override now because of how corrective this is. We just kind of just strong correction, and I think to here's where I'm interested in. However, if we can get this impulse, oh boy, this is what I really want. So I want this impulse up. So it comes in over here, does whatever it needs to do right now, right? Comes in over there and then comes up here and then flags, comes down, sells. That's what I'm looking for. If we do not, if we're unable to do that, fine. But I actually think that there's more than enough potential. But something that I did kind of reevaluate when Mark mentioned it was if we do kind of come and create something like this and then we sell and come back up here, that would be more interesting because that creates more of the angle for the parallel sort of channel middle section up. So this could become a strong two touch to an inflection point. Obviously, there's 1, 2, 3 inflection points that spring to mind. Perhaps maybe this one could be the line in the sand, in my opinion, just because we have that double top, which kind of gives me that sort of, yeah, this could be the point. But we have that bit just above it, which could be the spike. So anyway, not too concerned. There's just three major points that I'll be keeping my eye on, and then yeah, that's it really. So 1, 2, 3, that's what I'm looking for. This could take some time to play out though, really and truly. I don't know now that I've looked at it in this way, is that really the gameplay? But if we do get this squeeze that I've been originally looking at, which was 1, 2, this bit here, that could be the gameplay as well. And then we create something a little bit larger and we keep going. So running channel or whatnot. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think yeah, I'm just thinking it's a good pair. It's a really good pair. New Zealand yen. New Zealand yen is also one that I think needs a bit of time to mature now, but we are in them key areas, and I think how we're sitting here, this could just be continuation to the upside, in my opinion. I mean, I did see it as an ascending, but it's not really sort of price action or sort of entry I want to be taking. It's like continuation to go to this high, to that high. I mean, this correction is not the correction I want to get into, but yeah, it's impulsive at the moment as well. Looking at it on the day 4 hour, it's non-progressive, but it's impulse, and it's just like a running sort of. Yeah, gonna leave it out, to be honest. This could sell off, but it could just keep going up, and I think the up is more interesting, in my opinion. I think more so if we just kind of take an angle and just take something like that and just say, yeah, I don't know. It's not one that I've really looked at. Maybe I'll be looking at it on when I go through my Friday pairs in a minute, and then yeah. But for this watch list, I guess that's it really. There was some sick trades though, honestly. Some really good trades, and GBP yen was phenomenal as well. So yeah, some awesome trades. Have a good weekend, guys.